We have something really special today. We're going to be talking about a field monitor that really belongs in a studio or right next to your editing bay. The Megamon 15. The standout feature of the Megamon 15 is 10-bit color. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about 10-bit color and what and how this monitor can display. But before we do that, let's just roll really quickly through the what's included and the features on this 15-inch monitor. Introducing the Megamon 15, a 15.4-inch 10-bit 800 nits HDR field studio production monitor. And it comes in a kit. The kit really only has one variation, and that has to do with the type of battery that you want to choose. You can choose V mount or AB battery type. 800 nits is high enough to be used in studio and outdoors, just not direct sunlight. The OSEE Megamon 15 has a resolution of 1920 by 1200, so it's an HD resolution monitor. The viewing angles, for those of you that might be interested, is 178 degrees. Contrast ratio is 1450:1. And what we are going to be spending the majority of this video talking about, the Megamon 15 has 10-bit color depth. On the back of the display, you're going to see that it has enough connections to meet most production needs. This monitor is feature-rich. It has a full set of assist tools, everything from audio tools so you can monitor your audio, to exposure tools like false color, histogram, vector scope, and waveform. And for all of us shooters, it has frame tools built in. And if you're using this monitor to pull focus, it has focus assist features as well as peaking. And for all of you who are going to use this in Video Village, or maybe even sending a signal out from the monitor to another monitor, say a director or someone else on set, it has built-in SDR and HDR LUTs from all the popular camera companies: Red, Arri, Canon, Fujifilm, Sony, and Blackmagic. So as I mentioned, we're going to spend quite a bit of time going through and talking about this 10-bit color and what that means for this monitor. So to do that, we're going to need to kill the lights, or at least dim them down. And I'm going to set up a different camera so that I can try to show you what this monitor is able to do. And we can all just talk through the different shots that way. If any of you are interested in seeing those shots for yourself instead of being recorded from the monitor, so you can see why I'm so hyped about what I'm looking at when I'm talking about this, be sure to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know that that's something of interest, and then we'll make that happen. So let's dim the lights and get started. Okay, so we've dimmed down the lights in the studio, and I want to show you guys now what I got going on here. And basically I'm playing some clips from my Mac Pro. I'm running them through a conversion because the Mac Pro outputs more than 1080. So I'm scaling it down to 1080 and then showing it on the OSEE Megamon 15. And I have this Komodo right over my shoulder here recording the Megamon. So you guys can try to see what it is that I'm all hyped about when it comes to color. So let's roll the clips. I'm just going to talk through the clips because I think these are really important. So this clip, this is an 8K source in Southern California. We shot it. The color, you saw the red, it's really brilliant. This is a 6K source shot on the Blackmagic Pocket Pro. And as you can see here, the colors are really nice. This is a Sony clip. And again, the highlight retention, the color, the saturation, it all looks really, really good. Here's a very bright scene, and you can see the clouds in the background. You can see the colors look really good. Bird's skin tone looks really good. And now look at the sunset shot. This is a 4K source from the Canon EOS R in Medora, of all places. I love the color on there. Now here I wanted to show basically open shade and then into sun, which Bert is standing in the sun and the tree trunk is in the shade. I graded it pretty aggressively, and I wanted to see if that orange bark would pop out. And the orange bark looks so similar on the Megamon 15 as it does on my Mac Pro. And as you guys know, the Mac Pro has incredible color, and it's a killer display. Now check out this HDR scene. This was shot in HDR on the Canon C200. This is downtown Sydney, Australia. What I'm seeing out of this OSEE monitor is incredible. I have texture, detail, clarity, separation, contrast, color, brilliance. Everything in this shot just looks beautiful. And it looks beautiful on the OSEE monitor just as it does on my Mac Pro. That's the reason why I picked this shot, because this shot is very difficult for monitors that are not great. And I'm not sure how much of this is going to, show through on YouTube. But if you guys want to see that shot on your own, leave a thumbs up and I will allow you to download it so you can see it on your own display. Now this shot was also shot on the Blackmagic Pocket 6K. And her skin tone and her color and her tonality in her skin and all the different texture and layers of colors in her skin looks terrific on this monitor. I think OSEE has outdone themselves. And I'll just say this without trying to stir it up. I've used the neon monitors by Atomos before, and this OSEE monitor blows it away. So keep that in mind. The price point too. So I decided to take some deep low light shots, which this happened to be right before sunrise, again, Sydney, Australia. And I wanted to see how this monitor behaved when it comes to the blacks. Do they get polluted or don't they get polluted? And what's blowing me away about this is that, yes, my Mac Pro has more contrast, but I have texture on the shells of the Opera House. And I can see it. And it is not fringing, and it is not getting some weird artifacts or anything. I can see it. Are the blacks as black or dark as I want them to be? No. But this, to me, is more representative of film, where black isn't really zero IRE. And that's what I'm seeing out of the OSEE monitor. So needless to say, I'm impressed. And look at the gradients in the sky. Again, if you guys want to download some of these clips, just leave a comment. And if enough of you want them, I'll make sure that you all get them. This is the other half of that sunset. And again, look at the color, the gradients, the separation in the contrast, the way that this is being displayed. The fact that we still see green in the grass, even in this low light type of scenario, instead of it just being all mushed up and crushed. And as you guys know, the Canon EOS R, while it can shoot in 4K, and this was a 4K shot, it was capturing internally, and it was not raw. And this image, to me, is beautiful. And again, what I'm seeing performance-wise in the color department on this 10-bit display is it's out of its league. Like it is way, way better than I could have ever expected at that price point. I'm just like really amazed. I'm just going to forward here a little bit. I just want to step in here really quick and say, the last I checked, there were only 7 of these monitors in stock. So if this is something that's of interest to you, and if it's something that could benefit your production, I wouldn't wait. Because if you wait, it could be months before the next batch is released. So let's continue with the video. Very bright scene, a lot of high frequency with all the trees and stuff in the background. I'm not seeing fringing on the monitor. I'm not seeing the monitor struggle to reproduce the color. It's kind of amazing. Look at this shot from the Hollywood Hill, Southern California. This was also shot on the Canon EOS R. And the fact that I could see without any tearing in the red on the tower makes it, to me, very impressive. And if you're thinking, well, the Hollywood letters are not absolute white, that's because Southern California has smog. Here's another shot. This was shot on the red 8K helium. Look at the texture in the bricks, and look at the tonality and the texture in her skin tones, as well as the, super whites through the window. Everything about this shot just looks beautiful on this monitor. And this is a tool that, frankly, I wish I had, earlier in my career. You can't go wrong with this tool. Everything about the way that this resolves a picture is, again, it's punching way above its price point. I mean, I love how clear this is. This was also captured in 8K from a drone. This is a playground, and the reason why I included this shot is because of all that texture. Again, the monitor is able to resolve it. This is another shot from the Canon EOS R, Southern California, Los Angeles skyline, as you can see there in the background. And again, even in high frequency scenarios, this monitor is able to display it, and I can still see, without banding, detail in the sky. Here's another shot of the Sydney Opera House. Again, high dynamic range, early morning, so blue hour. And the texture out of different clamshells in the steps, in the rock wall, right, towards the front of the camera. Everything about the way that this monitor is displaying, it's competing like neck to neck with my Mac Pro. Again, the Mac Pro has more contrast, which allows the blacks to get darker. But once we talk about anywhere above absolute black, this monitor is doing a really terrific job of being able to display color. And that, to me, is just impressive. It's kind of amazing. This is an HDR shot from my iPhone 13 Pro Max. And again, the amount of detail in the sky and the clouds, it's kind of mind-blowing. Okay, here's a true test, right? She's wearing a dark red shirt. And look at how nice that color red is being reproduced without affecting her skin. Here's another shot. This shot was actually done at night of the Sydney Opera House. I don't remember how late at night, but it was late enough for all the tourists to have gone. Beautiful shot. No banding. I don't see noise. I don't see artifacts. I see a lot of detail. Obviously, it was captured in 4K, and we're seeing this in a 1080 display. But again, there are no artifacts. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to tell you all. This monitor is able to resolve incredibly well without cross-polluting color. And that's a big deal. One of the things, or the biggest selling point for me on this monitor. There are lots of other great things about the monitor, but to me, how good the color is on this 10-bit display and how well it deals with mixed format. Some of it's HDR, other isn't. Again, look at this shot. That's a beautiful shot without any artifacts and a lot of detail. Everywhere from the bridge to the clouds to the water, there's a lot of movement happening all at once. And the camera did a terrific job of capturing, and the monitor is doing an exceptional job at displaying what the camera captured. I couldn't recommend this monitor enough. And again, comparing it to other tools like from Atomos or from Small HD, this gets you 99.9% of the way there at a price point that is unmatched. And that's hopefully the takeaway here. I just love these colors. Here's another skin tone shot so you guys can see. And look at how it deals with the highlights, right? So clearly I'm blasting light on that left side of her face, and I'm not on the rest of her face, and I'm not clipping anything, so that's good. We're able to see that difference, but then you're also able to see the monitor resolve that difference and then show you what I was seeing in camera when I was capturing that shot. That's kind of amazing. Here's another, big dynamic range situation where the sky is very, very bright, and we are shooting this in an alley. And again, look at the texture, look at the oranges, look at the reds, and then look at her skin tone. There is no cross-contamination of color. There's good separation. There's nice contrast. It's a very pleasing image. Here's a close-up so you can get, again, another skin tone feel for what it is that we're going for here. And look at all the different texture and color in her eyes, as well as the tonality throughout her skin tone. And you're able to see all this detail on this HD monitor that is like truly affordable. I can't say that enough, because I'm blown away. I'm impressed. And this is the reason why I'm sharing it with you all, because as I look at this, I'm thinking, wow, if I had tools like this to monitor on set 3 years ago, I would have been so happy. I would have been exceptionally happy. This tech just flat out was not available or attainable to all of us indie filmmakers and shooters. So again, I can't say enough. I just really, really love it. And I love how this monitor renders skin tones. I don't have to worry about adjusting for purple or, adjusting the tint, basically. I don't have to take away purple or add green or any of the combination of all the tools to make the colors just work. This shot is properly exposed. It's from a red in 8K. And as you can see, this is the color reproduction that we get out of the OSEE Megamon 15. It's just mind-blowing great. Really, really nice. I just can't recommend it enough. Again, high frequency. Lots of trees and branches and leaves separating away from a high contrast sky. No artifacts, at least none that I can see. And I'm really close, like I'm an arm's length away from the monitor. So this is, again, very impressive to me. I mean, it's $770. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Here's another shot of the Sydney Opera House. Again, lots of texture and detail, and nothing is getting mushy. And the colors are true to what I saw. The only area that is not as dark in this picture is right here, compared to my Mac Pro. Everything else about this shot looks almost identical. Okay, so this was an interesting shot. This was shot at an extremely absurd ISO level. And as you can see, there's very little noise. It was shot with the Canon C200. And there is a ton of detail in the background with the skyline, with the buildings, the apartment buildings, with the Ferris wheel, the lights, all the pier stuff that is happening, and of course the boat in the water that is continuously moving and the colors that are spilling into the water. This is, again, a beautiful shot, a beautiful example of how well this monitor can perform for you. Here's a night shot, again, a different angle of the Sydney Opera House. And granted, did it have to be exposed correctly? Of course it did. If I had this tool to have judged my exposure, could I have done a better job? Possibly. Possibly. But even after the fact here, as I'm looking at this, I feel like this monitor might just live in my studio as a reference monitor moving forward. I don't even, I'm just really impressed, really impressed. Let's move this along a little bit. We're almost done here with all of these clips. Oh, we're going back to that HDR shot. I wanted to show this shot more than once to prove a point because of the amount of detail, texture, tonality, contrast, color information, and everything that this shot has all in one. It's, this is what the monitor is able to do. This is what Megamon 15 is all about. And I guarantee you, if you end up picking one of these up, you're not going to regret it. And you might be like me thinking, yes, this makes for a great travel monitor, but it should probably live in the studio right next to your editing suite or right next to your editing machine because it's that good. I'm impressed. I think I have one more shot that I wanted to show. So this, again, very, very dark night shot in the texture in the clamshells. The roof of the Sydney Opera House is all there and it is visible to my eye. And in this shot, for whatever reason, this super dark spot looks identical on my Mac Pro. The only thing that doesn't is this sidewalk area here, where on my Mac Pro, there is more contrast in that area. But I see more detail in the steps on the OSEE monitor than what I see on my Mac Pro. So it's a little bit of a trade-off, but as a monitoring tool, as a field tool, this monitor kicks butt. It's terrific. I would not hesitate to recommend this monitor to anyone under any circumstance at this point based on my use. Again, I'm just really blown away and impressed. And I believe this was the end of the clip. So let's get back to the original shot and I'll wrap up my thoughts. So I hope that you guys found the information useful and helpful in some way. And honestly, I know that this is a sponsored video and I'm gushing about this OSEE monitor, but it will be living right next to my editing workstation because of how good it is at reproducing color. It's that good. And the convenience of being able to put it in its own little packing case and traveling with it makes it much easier for, say, international travel than hauling a giant Pelican case for me. So it's going to have double duty, but its primary job will be to sit on my desk as a reference monitor moving forward. As usual, if you enjoy this type of content, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch up with you guys in the comments. Take care.